Well, welcome back to my channel, entrepreneurs. I'm just delighted you're here for another episode in my Entrepreneurs Who Work From Home series. Because, interviewing these inspiring entrepreneurs from around the world who are really just like you, it makes life so interesting to hear how each one is building their businesses one day at a time. Okay, so I have a big request here today. I'm getting close to 500 subscribers, and I'd really love you to subscribe. And don't forget to tap that notification bell so you never miss an episode, especially if you are an entrepreneur looking for those real-life strategies from other fellow entrepreneurs. Well, today's guest is the incredible LeeAnn Webster. Wow, she is a true creative force. I first met LeeAnn years ago when she was running virtual summits for entrepreneurs. She's just doing this effortlessly, guiding people through systems and templates and checklists. I actually did one with her. She just made launching a summit not just doable, but really she was very successful at what she did. And you will hear in this interview how she packaged that brilliance into a full program and eventually sold the business, which is, it's really a power move and a great reminder for entrepreneurs that your process that you are doing right now can become a product that you could sell. LeeAnn's journey is anything but traditional. She's an attorney turned international keynote speaker. She's a Moth StorySLAM winner and an entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience in coaching, marketing, and business development across a range of industries. So in this interview, you're going to hear how LeeAnn helps women step into their full potential using her no regrets, no limits release method. And I want you to make sure you stick around until the end because she shares how she collects those regrets on a special postcard, and her method that she teaches really helps entrepreneurs create their own power path to the life that they truly want. This episode is just packed with wisdom, heart, and actionable insights for entrepreneurs, especially those of you who are carving your own unique path. I think you're going to love it. I'm so excited to have you here today in my series on entrepreneurs who work from home. Welcome.
Thank you, Gail. I'm so super excited to be here and to reconnect with you after so many years.
It's so lovely to reconnect again after all these years. Yes. Yeah. I know. And I know that you're a busy entrepreneur and you've been a busy entrepreneur for a very long time. I love to start off with walking us through, do you have a daily routine or how does your day and week work for you?
Yeah. So you're going to notice, I am a very structured person. So I 100% have a daily routine. And I think it's really important for entrepreneurs and especially for those of us who work from home to have structure and have a routine.
Yeah.
So I'll walk you through my morning. I get up, I do my gratitude journal, I meditate, I go work out and come home, shower, have breakfast, and then I get on my computer. And that's the 10,000 foot view. But the key thing about it is I do not touch email or any of those things until actually the second hour I'm on my computer. Even my first hour on my computer, I don't. So, because I want to make sure the morning is for me. Great. And I fill my bucket, I fuel my brain, I get myself centered, I get connected to what I'm doing, I take care of my body. I want to take care of me before I ever touch what somebody else needs.
Right. I love that. And I think that's so important because there are so many, as an entrepreneur, we have so many things to do. Yeah. And if having that structure for yourself, if other people who are watching this understand that that's kind of a key element in being an entrepreneur, I think.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I love it. Now I want to switch into your workspace. It looks lovely. How do you set up your office that, so that it's, efficient for you?
Yeah. So I have a space in my living room. I live in a vintage high rise, and I've got a large space, and I have a one bedroom apartment. So I just have an L-shaped desk in my living room. Next to a window because I like light, and so where I can see light. And I consider this space sacred the only thing I do in this space is work on my business. I don't play games here. I don't watch Netflix here. It's almost like I'm like a little worker bee, right? Like, I finish my breakfast, I come over to my desk, and then I'm focused on work. I've gotten within arm's reach, really pretty much everything I need to run my business. But the key thing, of course, is the computer. I have I want to say it's called a Roost. I'd have to double check. I work on a laptop. And so I have a Roost that keeps it at up and at an angle and keeps the screen. Yeah, because I was, for the longest time, I didn't have that, and I was getting the pain in my neck. And so I have an external keyboard, so that helps me with that part. But yeah, it's a designated space, and it's only used when I'm at work.
I love it. Yeah, yeah. Posture, I think, for entrepreneurs is everything. We can sit over a computer all day.
Yeah, on our phone.
Yeah, I think we have to pay attention to posture.
100%.
I know I do. Yeah.
Now, the other thing I want to add too about this space is, so twice a year I do I make sure I take an entire week off twice a year, and one of those weeks, generally, sometimes both, is a staycation. And so, if I live in Chicago, there's all kinds of stuff to do here. So when I do that, I put a tablecloth over my desk area so that it changes the energy of the room, and so that I don't see, because I think it's, when you're looking at the computer, or you're seeing the things related to your work, and I love what I do, and it's like I need a space from it. So I'll put a tablecloth over to just kind of change it, and so I don't get drawn into the energy of the business.
I love that. That's a great idea. And that does change everything, right?
Yeah.
It changes your whole outlook, your whole perspective.
Totally. Yeah.
I love that. And so, but when you're working and you're a busy lady, what do you do, to stay visible in your business? Are there specific items or areas that you work with?
Yeah. Do you mean publicly, like with social media or things like that? Or, So social media has been an interesting thing. I'm a giant email fan. And my email list, I'm religious about connecting every single week and doing that, because I feel like that's my relationship with my community that I really hold dear. Social media took me a little longer to get on the bandwagon with. And part of it was, quite frankly, the logistic of, oh my Lord, what do I post? And who cares? And I got to do this over here, and then I got to log in over here. And in some ways it doesn't take long, but it just felt exhausting to me. It's not like it's not energy rich for me to be doing that piece of it. So I hired someone, and I think this is key for our businesses, is to hire out the things that aren't energy rich for you that you still want to do. Because I knew it was important for me to have a public presence for people to be able to consume and kind of get my energy and get my vibe and see what I'm up to. So I wanted to do it, but the act of doing it wasn't good. So I hired someone, and she's amazing. I do Loom videos to her. And we have a whole back end system where we use, and so I do 3 times a week. So I'll say Mondays tend to have a theme, and each day has kind of a theme of each day of the week. So I just do Loom videos to her of like, okay, let's talk about today's one, I think, was about the time I was on NBC's The Other Half. So I do a Loom, I tell her all that, just speak it out to her. It takes me 3 minutes. And then she turns it into a post. And then I review the post, and then she puts it out on everything. So
and that's wonderful. That's called delegating, right? Yes.
And let me do the fun part, which is telling a story and, and getting excited about what's going to happen with it, but not getting caught in the weeds of the, what time do I post? And did I tag the right things? And what hashtag do I put?
So much to it. That is brilliant. I think you've really made it work for you. And I think that's the important thing. And I think with delegation, as entrepreneurs, we have to realize what it is that is worth our time and what it is that we can give that item or activity to someone else, right?
100%. Yeah. And, part of the question that I ask myself with that, I ask, is it energy rich? Is it something that I like doing? The other question I ask myself is, depending on what my goal is, right? What would the CEO of a $500,000 business do?
Yeah.
Not her own social media, but she's not in there doing that. She's not doing her own QuickBooks.
Right.
She's not the other things. And so it's like, if I'm growing into that and that's the goal that I have, I got to start acting like it now and get rid of the things that are preventing me from bringing my magic in, which is what people are really hiring me for.
Yeah. Very, very smart. Very, very smart. I love it. But I do think as entrepreneurs, we have to learn what we need to delegate and what we can do ourselves. It's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are your challenges? What challenges do you face as an entrepreneur? Just working from home, is that a challenge, or any motivational dips that you have?
Yeah. I mean, well, I think, I'm not going to be like, I'm just always so motivated. Like, no, I'm not at all. Mostly I am. And some days I do get up and I'm like, oof, I don't know. So part of it, I believe, is being in tune to what's going on energetically. What am I feeling called to do? And if there's something that I'm resisting, that I'm putting off, that I just feel like, then is there a way to delegate it? Or if I can't delegate it, can I change when I do it so that it will, so I can tap into a different energy that'll make it easier to execute? And here's a great example of what I mean. My email list. I love my email. I love my email. Love my people. Love writing to them. I'm a pretty good writer, so I like to write them. And what I found was I kept thinking they go out on Thursday morning. So I kept like, Monday afternoon, I'll write that. And then Monday afternoon, I get tired. And then, Tuesday morning, I had to get tired. And then all of a sudden it would be like Thursday and I'm like, I haven't written it. Okay, well, next week. And, I just wasn't being consistent and it was taking a long time. Even if I did it Monday afternoon, it would take me an hour and a half maybe to write it. So what I realized was my golden time and better time for writing and being creative is right when I sit down, that first hour. Mm-hmm. So now I don't do email. I don't do anything other than what I call it my power hour. So I focus on something that I needs my best brain. Right. So now Monday morning, before I ever even look at an email, Monday morning, I sit down and I write the draft of my email for the week. It usually has come to me during my workout on Monday. It's like, it rolls right out. Wednesday morning, I go back, take a quick look at it, edit, adjust, whatever. And then it goes out Thursday morning.
I love it. Yeah.
Maybe takes me an hour for the whole process.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And they're better. They're more well written. So I think that's a part of it, is understanding your own energy, your own rhythms, and being okay with tapping into that. Yeah. And being okay. Sometimes I'm like, this is too much. It's too much of a struggle. I'm not going to get stuff done. Instead of forcing myself to be productive, which I know I'm not, then you know what? The hell with it. I'm going to go do the laundry, see a movie, take a walk, whatever. Because that's why I have my own business anyway. And so that I can not be chained to my desk.
I can so relate with you, especially with the newsletter. I'm the same way. Mine goes out every Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And I was the same way. It was like Wednesday morning, I'm going, I haven't done the newsletter. So I had to do the same thing. On Mondays, my draft is done, Yeah. And so I'm like, it's ready to go on Wednesday.
Yeah. So it's finding those nuances, I think, is the key to it. Yeah.
I agree. Totally. Yeah. So that leads me into kind of time management. How do you stay on top of your schedule and, making those decisions? What technique do you use? Do you time block or?
So I have learned, I know people who are very good and they have everything in their calendar, and that makes me want to break out in hives.
I wouldn't have thought you would have been that person, because
I know. It's just, I don't like it. And what I've learned is I do have blocks of time, or I have some sacred time. I'll say it like that.
Yeah.
So for example, that first hour, that in my power hour, I do what I need to do, right? Practice a keynote, write my email, outreach for something, draft, create something, write a story. I don't know, whatever it is. And I'll tell you how I track that in a minute. I also newly started doing no meetings before lunch.
Wow. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so, and there's a couple exceptions. And what I have found is that morning time, I'm most creative, I'm most focused, and I can just get more done. And so it's like, if I can just have that block in the morning where, I do my thing for that first hour, I zip through the emails, I take care of clients, I tend to this, I do the outreach, and then I'll have lunch. And lunch, by the way, at my dining room table, seated, not eating everything.
Yes. Good one.
And then come back, and then I'll tend to have interviews or meetings, client calls, whatever in the afternoon, and then I close out my day. So that's part of the parameter. I have less meetings on Mondays and Fridays. I tend to try to have more, my meetings kind of go more into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then I can kind of bookend Monday and Friday to like catch up or take a little time off or have some more creative time if necessary.
No, that's wonderful. I think that's great advice for other entrepreneurs too, is learning that when your peak times are, when you know that it's time that you can speak to people at a meeting, understanding that is so important, right?
Yeah.
We all had to go through learning not to eat in front of the computer.
Oh my Lord. Well, and it's not healthy, and it doesn't give your brain a break. And then you get food in your keyboard, and then, it just doesn't serve anything.
I know.
And it's funny because I think, and I remember I thought this too when I first had my business, like, well, if the prospect, especially for a prospective client, right? Well, if they want to meet at, 9 a.m., then I should give them that. No, if that's the only time in the world they can meet, maybe. And you know what? I don't do calls at 9 a.m. So that's not going to work. If I even make that accommodation the one time, they're going to think I'm going to make it all the other time. So the way I work is one of my favorite phrases from Phil M. Jones. The way I work is I meet during this time. Nobody needs to know that you just don't like calls on Monday or you don't get calls before. You just say I'm available at 4.
Exactly. I know. That's great advice. I hope they're watching and learning from this. You do a lot of connecting with people and you create summits for people. Tell me a little bit about how technology plays a role in running your business. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't do the summits anymore.
Oh, okay.
I've moved away. I sold that business. And for all the entrepreneurs. Well, here's what's cool, right? I created systems around the summits, as you know, and even way better than when you and I connected on that. I got so good over the years, but I had, checklists and templates and all of that. And I actually sold that business. So, for entrepreneurs out there, you can sell something that's not a physical asset if you create your own process and have a way to execute on it. Can be a saleable thing. So
that's really good advice. Yeah, your own capacity, of a way to set up.
Yeah. So I did that, but technology is huge. Obviously, Zoom. I was on Zoom way before it was popular.
So was I.
I know you were. I remember when the pandemic hit and my non-entrepreneur friends were like, have you heard of this thing called Zoom?
I know.
And I'm like, I know. I was nomadic in 2015.
And are there any other tech tools that you love or use a lot?
The one I use the most, there's 2 others that I just cannot do without. One is called Evernote.
Right.
And all of my to-dos are in Evernote.
Right. I have a list.
I make a list at the beginning of every week. And then I make a list at the end of every week. And then I make a list at the end of every month. And then I make a list at the end of every year. And then I make a list at the end of every year. And then I make a list at the end of every month. And then I make a list at the end of every year. And then I make a list at the end of every month. And then I make a list at the end of every year. And then I make a list at the end of every month. And then I make a list at the end of every year. And then I make a list at the end of every month. And then I make a list at the end of every year. And then I make a list at the end of every month. And then I make a list at the end of every year. And then I make a list at the end of every month. And then I make a list at the end of every year. And then I make a list at the end of every month. And then I make a list at the end of every year. And then I make a list at the end of every month. And then I make a list at the end of every year. And then I make a list at the end of every month. And then I make a list at literally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with key focus areas so that I can make sure that I get done what I need to get done. And there's a note, and the best note that I have in Evernote is one that's called stuff to add. And that means stuff to add to the list, to the bigger list. But it's, I just, when I, when I'm in the kitchen or I'm walking here and it's like, oh, I got to make sure that I send Gail my bio.
Right.
I put it in there, send Gail, but like I just, to get it out of my head and into a thing. And then at the beginning of every day, I'll kind of like skim through that and then put that where it needs to be for later in the week or the day or the whatever.
Love it. Yeah.
Love Evernote. And it's also on my phone, which is the other thing I love. It's always open on my laptop, but then I have it on my phone. So when I'm out running errands and it's like, oh, I got to remember to do that, I can put it in my thing.
Yeah.
The other one I simply can't live without is the Loom. So like Loom, but Loom with the L. And that's video. And so, like I said, I use it with my social media person. I can speak to camera. And what's nice is it doesn't need to process or anything like that. Like you record and it, and then it creates a link and you can send somebody a link. So it's excellent for doing the thing that I described with social media. Also excellent for all of my processes in my business. I create Loom training videos. Here's how you do X. And then you can, because it does the screen capture as well as the thing. So all of my processes are documented with Loom videos. That makes it easier for me to give a task to somebody on my team, and then also for them to give the task to somebody else. And then finally, it's brilliant for tech issues, because if you're in a platform, instead of being like, well, when I click in the yellow box, it turns orange, and then I can't see the green thing. And it's, how am I going to describe that? But now you can just do the Loom, and you're like, here's what I'm trying to do, and I want it to look like this. When I do this, this happens. Help me. Put that in. The tech things are so much easier to solve when you can do that. So.
Yeah, Loom is fantastic. And I love the way you described how you use it. And I think for others who are wanting to use it for those kinds of things, this will be really helpful for them.
Huge. Yeah. And it's free for like the first 100 videos that I think they can't be more than like 5 minutes or something. I pay for it, but it's worth the payment. But if you want to try it out, it's free.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, that's really, really great advice. I hope people who are watching this get that using Loom. Yes. Terrific. So now let's move on to talk about collaboration and communication, and how do you stay connected with people and network? Do you network? What does that look like for you?
Yeah. Well, I do love, I like limited networking. Meaning, there's some people that just could go to networking meetings all day long.
Right.
A couple times a month, I love speaking. And so if I can be like on a stage or doing a talk or hosting a room or something like that, that's where I'm in my happy, happy, happy place. Yeah. So I love that. Otherwise I stay connected through my email and through my social media. Like, those are kind of the big channels to stay connected with myself.
Great. Great. And then how about goals? Do you have a goal setting process for yourself? I do your goals.
Yeah, I always have, goals are a funny thing for me. So I always have them, and I could list all kinds of them out for you. And what I find is, for me, it's the way that I manifest and the way that I end up achieving big things is by not being attached to the goal, but being more attached to what I want the goal to create. Like I want to be happier. I want to have more fun. I want to feel more free. And so it's like, I'm taking a page from Mike Dooley from Notes from the Universe, and not get caught up in the cursed hows and say, I feel fun, free, and I have more fun when I'm speaking. So let me try to find more speaking gigs. Right. I feel I love serving my clients. And so let me find more women who can use my services and get them into my retreats and into my community that I host for them. Right. So it's like, and that to me allows me to achieve more than if I just say, I want to make X amount of dollars, or thing. Now the other side of that is you got to stay in action, right? You can't just be like, well, I wish I had
the
this.
Activities that lead to the goal.
Exactly. And so I have a spreadsheet with my KPIs, key performance indicators, and I track those like crazy. Like how many people do I reach out to? How many strategy sessions do I hold? How many offers do I make? How many people say yes to the offer? How many people attend this thing? How many, X, Y, Z. So I track that all like crazy so that I can just kind of play both ends to the middle, right?
Yep.
So
I love it. I love it. That is, that's going above and beyond, but it is your process. And I think, you have to work on what works for you. And, it's brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. It also helps me. I mean, I know, and from being in business for so long that, it's not something that happens overnight.
Right.
And it's something that I like to think of the business as a garden, and there's seeds that I planted 15 years ago that may never sprout.
Right.
And, there's seeds that I planted and some of them sprout in like a week or a day or a month, and some take longer. Yeah. But what doesn't work is if I plant a seed and then I stand over the seed and I go, grow, grow. So if I just think it's a business or it's a garden, I'm watering. So every day I do my little KPIs. I plant some seeds. I'll water some seeds. I pull some weeds. I do my thing. And if I kind of do all that and stay in those actions, then things grow. Yes.
That's such a great analogy. I love it. Especially for those of us who like to garden.
I have a black thumb. So it's a funny metaphor for me.
Well, you're certainly not in the business world. You're a green thumb in the business world.
That's right.
I love it. Okay. So given all that, and I know you are probably doing a lot of talks out there and helping other entrepreneurs, but what do you do for you to continue to grow? What do you do for your own professional development?
Oh, yeah. Well, I work with an amazing coach, and I've always believed in the power of coaching and mentors and hanging out with others to help you become more successful. So I have a coach. I've been working with her I'm in my 11th year now. And she hosts a group. And in that group are other, speakers and coaches and consultants and brilliant entrepreneurs. And so I get on a weekly call with them. And then we also help each other. Literally before I got on with you, I was on the phone with one of my colleagues and she was like, I'm not sure how to handle this. And then I helped her and I said, I've got a question too. And then she helped me. And so it's staying connected. That's kind of the informal part of it, the support part. Beyond that, I regularly go to retreats. I read books. I, take courses,
podcasts,
listen to podcasts. Everywhere that I can find bits of education that I think will help me to become more of who I am and serve my clientele better, then I'm down for it.
No, I love that. But I do think having a coach is so important in today's world. Yeah. In fact, so I would love to ask you, if there was one piece of advice you could give entrepreneurs today, what would it be?
The thing that flew into my head, and I cannot remember who originally said this, but the thing that flew into my head was, you can't quit on a hard day.
I love that.
I can't remember who originally said that or who brought it to my attention, but it's like there's going to be hard days. This entrepreneur stuff, it is not for the faint at heart. It's not easy. There are days where you question your sanity, your like every decision you've made. And then there are days where it's like, oh my God, I get to do this. Yeah. And if you're having a hard time, you're in one of those rough spots, understand that you'll get through it, but you can't quit on that time. You have to get through it and then decide if you want to keep going.
Yeah. I love that. I think that is such good advice, because it happens to everyone, and especially entrepreneurs. And when you're alone and isolated and things don't go well, you can go down that path. Oh, I'm no good, or this is never going to work, or whatever.
Yeah.
You quit on that kind of a day.
Quit on that day. Yeah. And I think that's also the importance of having community, even if it's virtual. Even as simple as I do Wordle every morning. Love Wordle. Yeah. And there are 3 people that I send trade Wordle boards with. Yeah. And that little bit of connection, it's so simple, yet that keeps me like, there's a world out there that, I care about, they care about, that, we're connected. And that keeps me tethered to what I'm doing, even though I live alone and work from home, and could feel isolated at times.
Yeah. No, I think and we have to really pay attention to that as entrepreneurs as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what else do you do for your own self-care? What makes you happy? Like balancing work, personal life, and all of that.
Yeah. Well, I have great friends. And so, and they range from people that I do exercising things with or outdoor activities with to like playing board games with or going to theater. So I make sure that I have a good socializing. I have friends that play euchre. Any Midwesties will know the card game euchre.
Gosh, I haven't played euchre in years.
I do like about every 6 weeks now. So I have some structures set up for that. Yeah. I love to cook, and I love to read, and I love to be active. I live in Chicago. I'm pointing because the lake is like a half block away. So, so being in the fresh air, spending time outdoors, and I also love to laugh. So comedy clubs or Netflix specials, like, anything because I feel like that puts me in a good mood.
I love that. Well, this has been delightful. And I want you now to share with us a little bit about what you do, a little bit about the regret release method that you, and tell us a little bit about your business, what you do, and where people can connect with you. Yeah. Because we'll put all of that in the description below.
Beautiful. So I help women who want to lead with no regrets and no limits. Mm-hmm. And I do that through a framework that I call the Power Path. And the Power Path is all, my belief is wherever you are and wherever you want to go, there's a pathway to get there. And there's 5 elements to helping you get there. And that's the gist of what I help people with, women especially. Part of that is I'm very much about helping women to not live with regret. And so I feel like there's a lot of us that are walking around with, I wish I would have, I wish I could have tried. I actually collect regrets. If you ever see me speak in person, I'll have you do one of these postcards. I walk you through an exercise where you anonymously give me a regret. I love it. These are what every Monday on my social media channels, you'll see an anonymous regret that I post. I've collected over 1,000.
Instagram, what channel is that? Instagram?
Instagram and LinkedIn.
Okay, great. Mm-hmm.
I've collected over 1,000 regrets. And I just feel like I really want everyone, but especially women, to understand you don't need to walk around with this. Yeah. You have the ability to create the life you want to create. So I get that message out through speaking. I do a No Regrets, No Limits weekend virtually 3 times a year. And then I have a True Life Crew, which is a community of women who are supporting each other in leading without regrets and limits.
Great. Great. And so where's the best way to connect with you?
You can do, if you want to release a regret, I'll walk you through the process. So you can go to regretreleasemethod.com.
Okay.
And that does that. Or you can also go, if you put my whole name, LeeAnneMarieWebster.com, that's my main website. You can sort out all kinds of things.
We will put all of that in the description below.
Cool.
Jen, thank you so much. This has just been so enlightening to connect with you again, and the advice that you've given today for entrepreneurs is extremely valuable. I really do thank you for being on the series.
My pleasure. This was super fun. It's fun to talk about the kind of like the hows of the business. Yes. Right? We rarely talk about that. So I love the work that you're doing. I think you're helping a lot of people.
One of my favorite takeaway from LeeAnn's interview was how she delegates her social media using Loom. As entrepreneurs, we're always looking for better ways to communicate with our team, with people. And I just love her quick and easy process of how she uses Loom for training videos. And how great was her analogy about business being like a garden. If you're a gardener like me, that really, really rang home to me. You know, you plant seeds every day, and while some sprout quickly, others take weeks, months, or even years. And she calls it having a green thumb for your business, and I really love that. I also hope you really heard that one powerful piece of advice. Don't quit on a hard day. We all have tough days, but the key is just to keep going, right? You got to just keep pushing through. So have you ever had one of those days? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your story. And here's something you might not know about LeeAnne. She's a triathlon finisher. She has climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, yes, really, and is the creator and star of Fancy Meeting Me Here, which is an inspiring one-woman show that's all hard. So I hope you found this conversation as inspiring and insightful as I did. LeeAnne drops so many gems, definitely one to bookmark and revisit. Thanks again for subscribing. I look forward to seeing you in the next interview.